Many people say that music is a universal language. If that's the case, I would like to use music as a platform to talk about health. My name is Dr. Moshe Lewis, and I'm a full-time practicing physician who loves music and the way it affects our brains, our bodies, and our well-being. I would like to invite you to tune in where we interview musical artists about health matters that are important to them. But the truth is, we'll be discussing topics that affect all of us. From mental health to body image, cancer screening to stroke, our health is truly our greatest asset. So the goal is to open the dialogue on health to embrace topics that we don't always like to talk about in a way that's raw, candid, and lit. Hopefully these discussions will improve the health of our community. After all, your health matters to me, and if I can make it sound more beautiful, then that's something we should all listen to. Music and medicine, when you hear those words, how do they speak to your heart?
Music and medicine, music is medicine. You feel me?
Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. Really excited to be joined today by three-time Grammy Award winner for Fantastic Negrito, Cornelius Mims. He has been a bassist, a composer, a producer, a musical director. A pleasure to have you here.
Great to be here, brother.
Good.
Great. I'm glad we were able to put this together.
Yes, it's been too long. It's been a year.
We tried to get it down, and here
your
we
calendars, my calendars.
Absolutely.
But I appreciate that your people are kind enough to make sure our people got it done.
And we got it worked out. Great to be here, man.
No, definitely.
Yes, sir.
And you were kind enough also to just give us, just in case there's some people out there that may not realize all the things that you've been involved in, just a little walk down memory lane. You're kind enough to share some of your music with us and some of the amazing artists that you've worked with. So we just can take just a little listen, just to a couple of them.
Yeah,
maybe,
I'll try to
maybe two.
condense it. I'll try to condense it. I mean, it's been a journey, man. It's been amazing. You know, it's been 40 years plus. And from Michael Jackson to Natalie Cole to Brandy to Tupac to, oh my goodness. You know, it's easier for me to think of the people that I haven't worked with as opposed to the ones that I have, because there's been so many that I've worked with over the years.
Let's take a listen.
Take a listen?
Yeah.
Well, come on. Let's take a listen. Oh, wow. Wow. That's a blast from the past.
Rickety press hard. I'm just trying to say it. That I just want to be girl. Just that type of girl.
Because I'm a gangster having fun. Always got the knuckleheads on the run. Didn't like that, I make you ask what was it. Boy, you should have known by now. Easy does it.
In the place to be, coming up like a season. DJs on the beat, yellows on the cut. So listen up close while we rip shit up.
In the city, you don't know who to trust. The bitches slip the scandals. She's so scandalous. She's so scandalous. Wow. That's right.
Yeah, the east side perfect. Haha, now that's work. Hey, yeah, the east side perfect. Haha, yeah, now the hop, yeah, now the hop, yeah, now the hop, yeah, now the hop, yeah, now the hop.
So dumb to think you gon' marry me. I got to be out my mind. Think I need someone to carry me. I've done enough to cry. It's time to say bye. It's time to do something for me. Come and
You feel so good. Rest of my life, I wish I could hold you tight and take a flight out the hood. Was I foul or just misunderstood?
It's been a few things over here.
How do you want? How do you feel? Coming up like a fool in the cash game, living in the fast lane life. Every other day we go. No matter where I go, I see the same hole. Every other day we go. Every other day we go. No matter where I go, I see the same hole.
Is that your new thing? That's your new thing. Tell me, are you into new things? Into new things? Baby, it's a few things. It's a few things. Let me tell you, you still in the back of my mind. The back of my mind.
Exactly. So I figured it might just help just a little bit. So when you hear, like I said, you haven't heard it all put together like that
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
What kind of things are going through your head as you hear this music again?
You know what? It's always very humbling. Especially when I hear that. And it's been so much over a long period until I haven't heard these songs in a while. So to hear like a compilation, it just kind of always reminds me of just the blessing that it has been. To be able to live and work and create and experience. With these iconic artists that I would have never anticipated ever crossing paths with.
Yeah. So we had to sort of help us walk into Death Row, and you're there, sort of almost at the beginning.
Yeah.
What was this one of the memorable or crazy experiences when you were there?
Well, a very, very dear homeboy of mine, even to this day, DJ Quick,
Right.
is a brother that really took me in. I worked with Easy and the Compton contingent, but DJ Quick was really, really instrumental in kind of really pulling me in. And this was in the early '90s. And what happened was there was a regime change at Death Row. Dr. Dre exited,
Right.
and Suge Knight brought Quick in to kind of be the focal point producer, artist, and all that. So when he brought Quick in, Quick brought us, his squad, and that was kind of how it all started. So we got going, but a day is very monumental to me was one day we were in the studio working with Quick, and we're working on "Murder Was the Case," which was a soundtrack. And I'll never forget as I turned and looked kind of to my right, just I wasn't looking at anything, I just kind of turned in that direction. And I see Tupac and Suge standing behind us. They just kind of came in while the music was up, and they were standing there like bobbing their heads, listening to what Quick and we were doing. But it was really, really a trip to see Tupac because the last I heard, he was in jail in New York.
Right.
So I hadn't got the memo that he'd gotten released.
Right.
So it was kind of interesting and weird to see him literally standing behind us. But that was actually the beginning of that whole All Eyes on Me, and and we had basically become the A-team musicians for Death Row. So we ended up segueing hard and heavy on Tupac for about 3 months straight, just every day, 7 days a week, nonstop, churning out tracks for Tupac.
Absolutely. What was your sense of him? What did you take away in terms of his essence?
With Pac, just a dope dude. A dope, dope, dope artist, a dope mind. Now, what I really appreciated, now this is more from a musician, like creative standpoint, like I'm a bass player, I'm a composer, and I'm pretty quick. I can come up with something, but what I'm not is a lyricist. Like if I have to try to put a lyric together, it'll take me a long time to really, I may get it done. But Pac, I watched him literally, like all those songs on All Eyes on Me, all of them. I'm talking about How Do You Want It? Um, I Ain't Mad at You. Only God Can Judge Me. We would do the track, and we were super quick. And he would start writing at the same time. And when we got done with the track, he was on the mic. It was like, and he had the whole song mapped out, had the whole vocal arrangement and everything. Just like so quick, and I mean the stories. I can really respect that talent and that gift. So that's what I took away from him, and it was it was an interesting time.
Absolutely, to say the least.
Yeah.
And then I want to juxtapose that almost 180 degrees in a different set of studios
Sure.
with Quincy. Talk to us about maybe a memorable experience with Michael Jackson.
Well, now that goes back. Now you got to keep in mind this is the year 1987. I'm at that time. I'm 26 years old. I'm pretty green, right? But I couldn't come off in a pure green. I'm working with superstar musicians, superstar engineers, and Quincy Jones. And so I'm so starstruck. I'm so starstruck. Everybody in the studio was like, super famous to me. But Quincy was very, very down to earth and welcoming to me And what I did do is made sure that I was on point, as far as what I was there to do. And I tried not to come off too starstruckish, like, but it was really a great, that little week that we did the Michael Jackson Bad project. It was great, we have one weird moment though. And and this one, Michael was different. He was a different, personality to deal with. So he was very kind of not really social for the first few days. He kind of stayed up in a different part of the studio, and he would every now and then he'd come down, Quincy, and Quincy would run out and see what he wanted, and then he'd come back, all right, guys, let's get. So after a few days of this, I started thinking, it's like, man, why won't this brother come and, we're working on your album, you're going to be in the studio with us, and you're going to be,
Conversing.
involved in the process. So he never, ever would come down. But now one day we're sitting up, when I remember we were listening to playback I remember it was Speed Demons, and I was doing drums for Speed Demons, and I had it smacking.
Right.
And they had the volume way up. So we're sitting in there, and we're vibing to it. And what Michael did, he came down while the music was playing, and, he was in the studio.
Right.
And now, here's where it got weird. After playback, I did, just like with Tupac, I just turned around, just inadvertently to turn around, and
Same.
and then I saw Michael, but Michael, when he made eye contact with me, it's like he ducked behind the wall I was like, bro, I just saw you.
Right.
What are you doing? I'm like, man, come on, bro. I mean, I am starstruck, but I'm not, it's not like that,
Right.
But it was just, again, awesome opportunity.
Sure.
Yeah.
In terms of her vocality and the way you sensed her and got to work with her, talk to us about Brandy, because she's such a perfectionist.
My absolute, even to this day, favorite. I mean, favorite vocalist. When we picked up, it was on the first album, and so I musical directed the tour.
Right.
So I was able to put the band together. We went out with Boys to Men, and we did a major 2-year world tour run. And she was very, very young, but musically beyond her years, talented, and her vocal tool is just not many people have I experienced with that kind of a tool. And she's still like that right now, She's my favorite. And the other thing that caused she and I to really, really work well is she is void of sense. She's out of her mind. She ain't got no sense, and I've got, but we had a lot of fun.
Sure.
So we were able to kind of, and then, her mom and dad and her brother, it was like, it's a family business with them. So it was great to work with Sonia and Willie and Ray J and, all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I wanted to purposely sort of set that up for the amount of agony you may have experienced in having to not go on the road with Marvin Gaye for Sexual Healing Tour.
Oh, one of the decisions that I made that I, really kind of regret, there's some things that I had opportunity to do and I chose to not do for whatever reason. And now that one, that Marvin Gaye, and because that goes even further back. Like I'm 22 or 23, really just still trying to get put on in the game. So when the opportunity, there was a brother, amazing, iconic guitarist, Wah Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Wah Watson took me under his wing at that time, and he was the one who told me to get down to CBS. Marvin Gaye needs a bass player. And here I am, 23 years old. So, I mean, I made it down to CBS. And I got down to, and we were rehearsing. We were literally rehearsing, and I'm sitting up here playing Got to Give It Up with Marvin Gaye.
Right.
Wait a minute, bro. I done played this thing a million times, but never with, he's just sitting up there like he ain't Marvin Gaye. I'm like, come on, bro. This is weird. You guys got to forgive me.
Right.
But no, it was cool. But there was some other forces going on in my in my musical scenario, and they were really, really coming at me, and I was a part of a band, and the guys in the band were, they were kind of in my ear and talking, they were hating on me, and these guys I grew up with, so I ended up quitting the Marvin Gaye tour, just to save face and keep the peace with my boys, and this would, of course, end up being his final tour, the last tour he did before he passed, and, so very important project that I was on. I mean, I was there, and so I kind of I'm kicking myself a little bit, over the years.
Sure. And I wasn't trying to really bring it up for a sense of embarrassment.
Oh,
but
no, it's all good.
So often we on the outside hear about, oh, so-and-so got such and such a deal and they just left the group and abandoned them to pursue their own. And here is a much rarer story of somebody who time and time again sacrificed to be able to stay with the group, even though no harm meant, but they really weren't able to really put out music or a tour of that quality.
Right.
On that note, let's talk about Janet Jackson.
Janet? Janet, yeah, that was interesting. As I said, I was a part of a unit.
Right.
And we grew up together. These are my boys from high school. We ended up cutting our teeth in the industry, getting into it together. So these were the guys that I was trying to pledge allegiance to, and stay connected to through the decade of the 80s. And keep in mind, we had just graduated from high school. I came out of high school in 79. So, around 81, 82, we're young, hungry musicians trying to really get put on. And we're dope. We are dope too.
Right.
All of us. We're dope as a unit, and each one of us were, extremely gifted in our own rights. So we could have easily, and we were starting to get opportunity. Opportunity was coming our way. And so after, I had dropped the ball with Marvin Gaye.
Right.
And a couple other artists that I had opportunity to, Patrice Rushen, same thing.
Right.
Who else did I quit? Literally on the show, and gave it up because the guys were in my ear. Jeff Lorber.
Right.
Jeff Lorber, I quit on him, and he and I recently reconnected. We're back. Me and him are on tour now. And but he was mad at me for 40 years.
Wow.
Me and him just got back on point. But anyway. So we're leading up to the Janet Jackson thing again. Now, fast forward. Now, our band, the band that I was pledging allegiance to, has totally disbanded now.
Right.
Oh, they kicked me out of the band in 1986. That's what happened.
Because you did a gig.
Yeah, I did one gig, and I missed a gig with them. And now look at the dynamic. I could have stayed in L.A. and made $9 with them.
Right.
But when I went to D.C. with George Howard and made $900,
right.
I chose $900.
Right.
I chose the 900.
I get it.
And, they couldn't, that was it. Oh, they severed ties with me.
Right.
I was fired. So anyway, we kind of mended the next couple of years. And then Janet Jackson comes up. Chucky Booker was also a part of this band that we were all connected to.
Sure. Which we should say is Tease.
Tease. Yeah. Tease. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk. Yeah, that's what it was. I was trying to keep it kind of anonymous, but yeah, it was the band Tease.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, so now Tease kind of had a resurgence. And after Chucky's record got going, and then Kipper Jones, our lead singer, had released a project. So, and we were and this is what we could have been doing years ago. Hey, if one of us gets going, we can pull the rest of us in, but somebody got to get it going.
Right.
So Chucky brought us back together. Yeah. And then Janet Jackson approached Chucky, and Chucky hit me up because he was like, man, hey, we getting ready to go on the road. We're getting ready to, we're going to be Janet's band, and I'm going to open. And I thought that, I couldn't believe it. So here we go. Now it's time to hook up with Janet and a conspiracy. It was really weird. Somehow, some way, the whole band of us ended up on that tour, on that Rhythm Nation tour, except me. I was the odd man out on the Rhythm Nation, so I didn't get that. And of course, I was in my feelings. Right. This is, my whole unit is out, and they killing Rhythm Nation. And but God is good. Because now in that same period of time, I ended up getting a TV show with Natalie Cole.
Right.
You know, where I was music supervisor, band director. It was it was American Idol before American Idol. It was called Big Break with Natalie Cole.
We're here on the Big Break stage. Welcome back. Let's hear it for our Big Break band. Cornelius Mims, our musical director. How you doing?
All right, baby.
Was that a time or was that a time?
That's the time. Getting the show off with a bang.
Was that choir kicking or what?
I kind of dug that.
They were serious, weren't they?
Yeah.
That was the life choir, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. They were great.
Right.
Yeah, so I ended up getting that job. So, and I'm making more money.
Right.
I'm making more money than they were making.
Sure, right.
So, you know, it actually worked out. You know, God had something better in store for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now looking back, do you sense that not only that your loyalties essentially weren't misplaced, but that sometimes things do come around full circle or in different types of ways, and although you can't see it at the time,
Of course.
then you might have to bite your lip and
Sure,
try
sure.
not to hit somebody.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's life.
Right.
It's life, you know, and especially at that age and at that time, you know, we were all trying to find ourselves and find our life footing, and we were dealing with other elements, you know, in the time, you know, them 80s and 90s, you know, it was a lot of distractions. And I'm talking about drugs and alcohol and partying and, you know, young youth. We were kids,
Right.
you know, so we were having a lot of things presented to us, and we were youngsters,
Yeah.
you know, just getting going. So we were dealing with all of that.
Sure.
You know,
On
yeah.
that note, the show's called Music and Medicine.
Yeah.
And when you hear those words, how do you feel like you were able to sort of make it through and somehow you basically recover, rehabilitate, and get away from the drugs?
Well, yeah, because I did have to do that. I did have to recover. I did have to rehabilitate because, yes, I got caught up in it. You know, it got me, you know, the lifestyle, you know, and all that came with it. So, actually, the 80s and the 90s, those decades were pretty tough for me, you know. I did, you know, it was the thing to do in the 80s, especially cocaine.
Right.
It was the thing to do. So, I mean, you know, everybody did it. I did it. They did it. And, you know, it spiraled, you know. It spiraled, you know, as far as I'm concerned in my situation. So I wrestled, you know, and it was up and down and, you know, for quite a long period. And, but the problem was not the drugs. I came to find out the drugs. It wasn't the alcohol. It was a deeper issue that it took me some time and some therapy to realize, you know, because it's self-destruction, you know, and it was initiated by me. You know, nobody ever put a gun to my head. Nobody ever twisted my arm and made me do anything, you know, to exhibit these self-destructive behaviors, you know, and make these self-destructive decisions, you know, and so it wasn't until I finally figured some things out through therapy, through recovery. And what I came to really realize is, you know, most everybody I know loves Cornelius Mims, but does Cornelius Mims love Cornelius Mims? And the answer to that was no.
Right.
The answer to that was no, and I know it. You know, through my teenage years, through early adulthood, you know, I struggled with weight issues as well. You know, I had a major weight problem, and then what it got to the point was, when I looked in a mirror, I hated what I saw. I did not like what I saw. You know, and then when you work in an industry like the entertainment industry, where image is very, very important, and, you know, I'm starting to see myself in print, on film, on television, and I'm hating what I'm seeing, you know, and I didn't have the discipline to make the life adjustments, you know, with diet or exercise or anything like that. And of course, you know, my weight through the 80s and 90s just ballooned, you know, until I looked up, you know, and at my maximum, I was at 302 pounds at 5'6". So, you know, 5'6", 302. And, you know, something had to give at that point. Cause I mean, I just couldn't stand it. You know, I've got to be up on stage. I've got to perform. I've got to move.
Right.
And that's really difficult when you 5'6" and 300 plus.
Right.
You know.
And what do you think was that critical factor for you?
I just got tired. I got tired of starting over, with that drug choice, and it always took me down to rock bottom. It never allowed me to, do it and do life
Right.
and everything. It was either I was up or I was all the way down. And that just got to the point where, man, I'm tired of being down. I'm tired of getting back up. I'm sick of getting up. I want to get up and then stay up. So what can I do? What must I do to achieve that? And so then a new journey began, and it became, again, I had to find the way to love self, find the way and to accept self, accept what I am, who I am, and man up.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so now this relatively small opportunity at the time, I don't know that you could have imagined that Fantastic Negrito would turn into what it did,
Ugh.
because it was really built on social media, word of mouth. Talk to us about how this opportunity to get not one year,
Yeah.
not two the second year, but now your third Grammy
Yeah.
came about through Fantastic Negrito.
Oh man, the Fantastic Negrito thing is just none of us saw it coming. And it goes way back before we got the Grammy wins, or even the first one. The focal point of that act is Xavier DeFrepeles. He's the centerpiece of it, and myself and a couple other people he had entrusted to kind of let's squad up and start recording this music. And he's a super brilliant mind creatively, so he was at the focal point, but it started back in the early 2000s. We just started working, we started churning out music. He was just kind of independently releasing things. And then he hit me up sometime around 2015 and said, Corney, this is what it's going to be. Fantastic Negrito. Come on, say it with me.
Right.
Fantastic Negrito.
One motherfucker, when he says there's only one Fantastic Negrito in the world, that's what he's really talking about.
He means it.
He means that you cannot play this bad
That's a hell of
and
truth.
feel this good. I think it's good. The boom, the boom, the boom. Yeah, you got to because he's gonna have to follow you anyway. All good.
I'm like, let's rock with it.
Yeah.
Let's rock with it. So we put the first Fantastic Negrito, and we grassroots. We put a band together. I was his go-to to put that unit together, and we started just doing wherever we could get in.
Right.
Can I put a little thing on this one?
Yeah, come on. We like things.
Yeah.
2, 3, hold down.
I get a chance to do my funk thing. I get a chance to do my gospel thing. I get a chance to do my blues thing. I get a chance to do my rock thing, all encompassed in this project. And it is just the most fulfilling thing that I'm involved in. Wherever we can get in and get in front of people and build start the beginning of the brand building, through the live music. And it was very unique and different. But he got some other people involved. And that's what took that first project and the first tour. We kept working it. And I knew the music was special. The music was, it's really, really different. I don't know anything else that's out there.
Right. Can't really almost put in a genre.
Yeah. So, and the crazy thing about the Fantastic Negrito project is we won all 3 Grammys in the category of Best Best Contemporary Blues Album, right? And to me,
Right.
it's kind of crazy because you put us in a blues category, and you can,
Sure.
because it's bluesy, it's definitely bluesy, but it's gospel, it's funk, it's rock, it's grunge,
Right.
and it's blues. So okay, if y'all want to put us in a blues category and give us the Grammy, we'll take it.
Sure.
So my thing was, the first Grammy was unreal. Now the second one, I was almost like annoyed.
Right.
I was like, come on, man. Come on, bro. Like, don't go getting your hopes up and getting all, to be, and we got the second one. And there was also a third one.
Right.
Same category, same project, same act. So it's just unreal, I don't know many people that have won 3 Grammys.
Right.
So it's pretty cool.
So now with this sense of rehabilitation, do you feel like things have come full circle? Been able to find a deeper meaning of yourself, meet someone who has a mind for music that is hard to even put into a box, and then here with them, finally, despite all the incredible people you've been with, you walk away essentially with 3 Grammys as sort of like the coup d'etat.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, just in retrospect, it's a combination of all of the things, all of the experiences musically and career-wise, but also it's those pitfalls that my life took that attest to who I am and what I am today. I look back in retrospect and I actually kind of appreciate those times, and those those negatives, those seemingly negative things, because those are the things that I was able to honestly build character from, and honestly finally learn to love self. And there's a testimony that I have now that I wouldn't have.
Right.
And I'm really, really super transparent about it. There's no shame in it. I'm better today because of that, and because of those experiences. The LA County Jail has a real way of kind of getting you some act right. If you go to county jail a bunch of times, and I did, it's like, man, I'm not doing this no more. But it really, the big picture message is the love of self. That's huge. It's huge for me.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. Here we have Cornelius Mims, who really represents something that so many people go through, whether they consider it to be imposter syndrome or not being able to prove themselves worthy, that underneath all of the drugs and the alcohol and potentially substance abuse that's very dangerous to relationships and toxic, there may be this kernel of self-hatred or really having a challenge with self-love. And we always say that we can't love others if we haven't learned first to love ourselves. We hope that we can put a higher power into that picture as well, because that certainly represents divine love. Many times we fall in love with someone else, and we call that unconditional love, so we hope. But life brings these ups and downs that can betray those things. And so it all starts with self-love. And he's been through an amazing journey and has a lot of music to represent those ups and downs. And we are the beneficiaries of that. But more importantly, we appreciate his experience and willingness to not only be bare bones transparent about some of the mistakes or some of the side steps, but also some of the challenges that turned into triumphs to help make him a stronger individual. And we appreciate you for sharing that.
Man, thank you. Thank you for having me and allowing me.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Dear Mama, Peter. When I was young, me and my mama had beef. 17 years old, kicked out on the streets. Though back at the time, I never thought I'd see her face. Ain't a woman alive that could take my mama's place. Suspended from school and scared to go home. I was a fool with the big boys breaking all the rules. And shed tears with my baby sister. Over the years, we was poorer than the other little kids. And even though we had different daddies, the same drama when things went wrong, we blame mama. I reminisce on the stress I caused. It was hell, hugging on my mama from a jail cell. And who thinking elementary? Hey, I see the penitentiary.